Steelers Party 1. Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. For the past 2 off seasons, Pittsburgh Steelers fans have been dying to upgrade the wide receiver position, either through a trade, free agency, the NFL draft, or a combination of means. But after the Steelers did little to address the position in 2024, their efforts to improve the wide receiver position grew even smaller this offseason. On Tuesday, the front office made a move to add a wide receiver to their roster, but don't get your hopes high. This is about the lowest level signing general manager Omar Khan could conjure up. As Steelers OTAs began, the team signed former Colorado and Arizona wide receiver Montana Lemonious Craig. Teresa Varley of Steelers.com reported, "If the name doesn't sound familiar, it's because you've never heard of him before." Despite being a 5-year player, Lemonious Craig never earned more than 28 receptions, 359 receiving yards, or 3 touchdowns in a season, despite playing 47 games in college. In his final college season, the wide receiver earned just 17 receptions for 172 yards and a touchdown in 11 games at Arizona. To add salt to the wound, Lemonious Craig is a less than stellar athlete. After failing to receive an NFL Combine invite, Lemonious Craig ran a 4.54 at his Arizona Pro Day while recording a dismal 9.9 broad jump and an unspectacular 4.34 three-cone drill. Collectively, his athletic testing earned him a 5.57 relative athletic score. When the Pittsburgh Steelers traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys on May 7th, many fans assumed the Steelers would follow up this trade with a move for a veteran wide receiver to pair with DK Metcalf. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Did the Steelers, Chris, for 5-6 hours back in March, that first Friday of the March Madness? I mean, think about it. People in the building hoping to settle in for a full day of watching basketball while they work. Because you can multitask. Hey, I'm going to get a lot of work done today, and I'm going to have the games on, and, we're going to get pizza for lunch, and, it's that those 2 days, that Thursday and Friday, those 2 work days that are consumed by basketball. Here comes Aaron Rodgers and ruins the whole freaking day. This is the day he's going to show up. Great. Can't watch basketball today. Aaron Rodgers is spending 6 hours in the building today, but he tried to do it secretly, rented a Malibu, flew into an airport other than the main airport, tried to be very secretive about it. There's a possibility, a non-zero possibility, that we're going to find out this morning he signed with the Steelers and he's going to be at their OTA practices. I think it's a very, 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 very long shot, but that's the kind of thing he'd try to do.
It would. I mean, I haven't gotten the sense it's coming like that. Like, we think we all know it's coming. I mean, he's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't have any reservations about that. Just from talking to people in the league, everybody thinks it's going that direction. What the holdup is, why he's not there, why he doesn't want to take part in phase 1 and phase 2, I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things out there, but I don't know the answers to that. But I do think he's coming to town anytime soon. I mean, we've seen enough things, and as smart of a guy as he is, like you've talked about before, I don't think anything's coincidence. There's been little inklings here and there where he's hinted at things that would make you believe the Steelers. We've talked about the owner. The owner's come out and, I mean, didn't say it, but said it in a way where you were like, wow, it sounds like the owner would be shocked if Aaron Rodgers didn't come to be the quarterback. So that's where we are. The last bit of holdup or why he's not going to be there at the first day of OTAs, I don't know. I don't know what that reason is. But either way, I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure really we're in a spot here where he has the offense and the playbook. He's got things like that at his behest already, so he's been able to dive in that way. And then I'm expecting any day, hopefully this morning while we're on the show, that would be great, that we hear he's in the building there and he's about to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I really would be surprised if it happens today and he's there and he's locked in and he's going to be part of the OTAs. But they have 6 OTA practices. 6. Could have up to 10. They opted for 6. June 10 is the mandatory minicamp, so there's 9 total practices that they'll have, and we know what happens sometimes with the mandatory minicamp. They give him the last day off. But this is his opportunity to be involved in preparation for the season before training camp starts. Last year, he was involved for most of the OTAs for the Jets. It was a story when he decided to go to Egypt for mandatory minicamp and offered up some disingenuous at best excuses as to why he thought that would be the right week to schedule his trip to Egypt, even though that's the mandatory minicamp week. Every week he was in Green Bay. Every year he was in Green Bay. I mean, that it's not some curveball the Jets threw in scheduling. So that was a weird thing last year. But I look at it this way. If he's just decided I don't need to be there for any of this and I can just show up at the start of camp because Favre showed up halfway through Vikings training camp in 2009 and they got to the brink of the Super Bowl that year. I don't need all this. That's fine. But, if the Steelers struggle, there will be some people out there who'll say if he had been fully prepared and locked and loaded, then maybe they would have been better.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'll be one of those guys that'll be with you. Like, why not be there? Why not be part of OTAs? I don't get that. I'll never get that. Now, I don't think it's a necessity, but it's something if it doesn't start off well, you're right. We're going to look back at it and go, well, why didn't you kind of lay the groundwork a little earlier? Why didn't you get in there and get on the same page with guys? I don't want to hear in week 2, well, we're still working out kinks in week 3, right? Well, that's what I think we're talking about. And you want to go, wait, we had time to work kinks out. But obviously, he's willing to take that risk right now. And as we've seen, older quarterbacks, they don't need the reps necessarily like the rest of the football team. It's really more about the rest of the football team getting used to the older quarterback and how he wants things done. And that's what you really want. But obviously something with Rodgers' personal life that's holding him back here right now from not being a part of it right away. And then the ultimate thing he has here in his favor and why he's going to take his time, and we've talked about this, is desperation. He has desperation on his side because the Pittsburgh Steelers have Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback right now. And I laugh because I do still hear people on TV like, I don't know. Maybe Mason Rudolph will be every bit as good as Aaron Rodgers. He finished the year strong, pretty good last year. I want to go, what? You mean when Tennessee couldn't win a game at the end of the year? Are you talking about that? Are you talking about 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, throw the ball 3 feet every play? Like, come on. Like, what are people talking about? It's revisionist history. It's stomping on Rodgers maybe why he's down right now. We saw Rodgers still play at a level at the end of the year, even though it didn't mean anything. I know you and me sat in the meeting room or in the viewing room. Whoa, man, Rodgers, whoa, throwing it downfield to Devontae Adams. And you look at that, he is in a different stratosphere even at this point of his career from Mason Rudolph, and he knows that. And they know he knows that. And he knows they know that. So that's why I think he's very comfortable and probably waiting too, Mike.
Rudolph did have some solid performances.
He did.
Not over the top, but I'm talking about down the stretch in 2023 when Kenny Pickett was soft-benched with, I think it was an ankle injury, a high ankle sprain, and he had surgery to come back from it quickly. And, hey, I'm ready to go. No, we're fine.
Yeah, we're good. Hold on. Get it healthier, right? Yeah.
And Rudolph actually started a playoff game at Buffalo. It was the one that was moved from Sunday to Monday because of snow, and they gave the Bills everything they could handle. It was only a 10-point game, and it felt closer than that.
Right.
So that's when they started to toy with the idea of making Rudolph the guy until he wanted like $5 million a year, and they're like, nah, we're good. And they ended up paying less than Rudolph got last year from Tennessee for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and Kyle Allen to be their entire depth chart. Now, this year, I don't think that they really are serious about going forward with Rudolph, and it's one of the reasons why they have continued to be in this posture where they are the guy who's on one knee, he's holding out the box, and he's waiting for months for an answer. Because what else are they going to do? And from their perspective, if he doesn't show up until halfway through training camp, he's still going to be better than any of our current options.
That's what I'm saying.
But will they be as good as they could have been?
Right.
If he'd be there. And from their perspective, it's like it doesn't matter because we're still going to be better than we'd be with Mason Rudolph. And the question is, how far does Aaron Rodgers want to push it? What is his true objective? Does he realize probably not going to win the Super Bowl and walk off into the sunset that way, but I just need a palate cleanser to my 2 bad seasons with the Jets? And I know one was a fluke, torn Achilles tendon, 4th play of the first game of the season, but last year was a debacle. It was his worst season, wins and losses as a full season starter in his career, 5-12. That was a disaster. Coach gets fired. That was a disaster. Owner reportedly wanted him to be benched. Oh, the owner was joking. Oh, good punchline. That was a disaster. The whole thing was a crap show, start to finish, for the New York Jets. Well, after week 3, I remember after the Thursday night game against the Patriots, all of a sudden Jets fans were like, this is great. This is what we've been waiting for. In the wheels.
He's on another level. Oh, my gosh. I don't think I've seen anybody read a defense like that so fast in the history. You're right. All the Jets fans were like, they were ready. They were bought in after that Thursday night performance. And then it
all went sideways.
Yeah, exactly.
It all went sideways.
Right.
All right, so here now, and hey, anytime anyone says they've got personal issues and that's why they haven't done I will not question it. I give you the benefit of the doubt. But he has been out and about doing some things, and I know that's different from committing to a football team and living thousands of miles away from California where you may have people close to you, and he's been dropping some hints. He did that 184-minute podcast with Joe Rogan last week, and I listened to all of it, and man, it was something. But that's one of the things that came out of that.
Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today is the start of Steelers OTAs, and the favorite to be the starting quarterback for 2025 is not on the roster and is not present. Today we'll talk about the latest surrounding Aaron Rodgers and why he has not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers as of yet. Then we'll talk about some other QB targets that the Steelers could potentially go target here. First up, a new report saying that the Steelers could be targeting Kirk Cousins as their plan B option if Rodgers does not sign with the team. And then another article that breaks down Will Levis as a potential trade possibility for the Steelers. We'll be breaking down all three of these quarterbacks on today's edition of Steelers Talk. And later today, Coop and I will be going live on this channel at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to break down the latest surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. If we get any updates from OTAs, we'll let you guys know the latest from Pittsburgh, as well as all the latest news and rumors that fans are talking about. So for extensive live coverage for your Pittsburgh Steelers every single week, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. So unfortunately, guys, the wait does continue. It's yet another week where we are waiting on four-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the 2025 season. And of course, today is the first day of Steelers OTAs, and Rodgers is not on the roster. Now, what this means and why Steelers fans should kind of be a little bit concerned here is that I do think Rodgers probably won't be showing up to the voluntary portions of Phase 3 of the offseason program, otherwise known as OTAs. Steelers OTAs finish up on June 5th. They have a little bit of a break before mandatory minicamp begins on June 10th. So that means that the pre-minicamp window for Rodgers to kind of sign and where it kind of makes sense for him to sign with the football team is June 6th through the 9th. Because if he's not showing up for the beginning of OTAs, guys, I'm just not sure if he's going to sign at any point during voluntary OTA. So hopefully Rodgers is there for minicamp. That's kind of what I'm hoping for at this point. And the reasons why I'm hoping he's there for minicamp is kind of laid out very nicely by Derek Bell from Steelers Now, who I thought had a really good breakdown of why it's important for Rodgers to be here during this portion of the offseason. Bell says, like most legendary signal callers, Rodgers has a very particular way that he likes to operate behind center. As he's aged, he prefers to get the ball out as quickly as possible, 2.65 seconds time to throw in 2024, something that that will be a drastic change from the quarterbacks that were on the Steelers roster a year ago. He likes to play in rhythm, and he's also very big on details, from pre-snap hand signals to specific landmarks in the passing game. The marriage between Rodgers' unique style of ball and Arthur Smith's offense won't be a seamless integration and will take time to mesh together. The 41-year-old's best chance to go out on top is if the offense hits the ground running from the jump, and it would behoove them to have as much time as possible to work through the kinks. Now, unfortunately, I could see Rodgers signing right after minicamp. If he doesn't want to be there for the voluntary portions of OTAs, it's very possible that one of the reasons why he's not signing at this point in the offseason is because he doesn't want to sign, not show up for mandatory minicamp, and then get fined as a result, like he did last year when he was with the New York Jets when he took a trip to Egypt and got fined by the New York Jets for not showing up to mandatory minicamp. So he might be just looking to avoid that circus altogether. together. And as we know with Rodgers, he doesn't really feel like this is a necessary portion of the offseason program. He has actually, advocated for the season to start in the offseason program to start at training camp before. He actually advocated for that in the last collective bargaining negotiations between the Players Association and the league. But mandatory minicamp finishes on June 12th, so I could certainly see Rodgers signing on the dotted line shortly after that so that he doesn't have to take a fine for not showing up for any of the Steelers' practices during Phase 3 of the offseason program. Now, when it comes to when you should be getting nervous as a Steelers fan, in my opinion, it's probably a week after mandatory minicamp. And the reason for that, guys, is because after minicamp is over, the Steelers don't have anything going on until the start of training camp in late July. So there's literally no reason for Rodgers not to sign on the dotted line very shortly after mandatory minicamp at the very latest, because there's really no other reason not to sign other than, maybe he's got some more personal issues he has to deal with. But if we get into like July or late June and he still hasn't signed on the dotted line, guys, I think it's definitely fair to question whether he will ever sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason and whether or not the Steelers should pivot to a different quarterback option. But when it comes to Rodgers, there were some more rumors floating around this weekend surrounding the Minnesota Vikings, and some are starting to bring up that rumor again that Rodgers could be waiting for Minnesota to give him a call and offer him their starting quarterback position over J.J. McCarthy. This was a report from Jeremy Fowler from ESPN saying there's some teams I've talked to that are still kind of wondering, is he just waiting out the Vikings? Because the Vikings would be an ideal scenario, one of the best play callers in the league in Kevin O'Connell, plus 9 dome games. Now, and not even Jeremy Fowler is buying this report, guys, or this kind of rumor from people around the league. I think people are more just, they don't really know what's going on, and they're kind of just throwing stuff out there if they're not connected to Rodgers or the Steelers. And that's what Fowler kind of thinks here. This is what he had to say on that, checking with the Vikings. I still don't expect the Vikings to sign Aaron Rodgers. They're moving forward with J.J. McCarthy. So Rodgers really has no other options other than Pittsburgh or retire. And then when it comes to kind of the signs of interest that Rodgers has shown to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's only had great things to say about Pittsburgh. Remember, he said on the McAfee show that Mike Tomlin exceeded his expectations. He's friends with Arthur Smith. He has a relationship with quarterbacks coach Tom Arth. Also, he's only taken one visit this offseason, and that was to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's only thrown with one NFL wide receiver this offseason, a Steelers wide receiver, DK Metcalf. He has hinted publicly, we covered that last week, where he said at a Q&A that the team that he's planning on signing with has a road game in Chicago. The Steelers have a road game in Chicago this year. And then obviously Pittsburgh feels like they're comfortable waiting as long as it takes for Rodgers because apparently, given their interactions with him, they feel very confident that he is going to sign with the team. So yes, all signs still point to Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And my guess here, guys, is Rodgers is probably going to announce on the Pat McAfee show sometime next week, whether that's Thursday, whether that's Friday. I think he'll announce it then he'll take his trip to Pittsburgh, sign his contract, and then he'll be ready to go June 10th for the start of mandatory minicamp for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But like I said, it's certainly on the table that he doesn't show up to minicamp at all and signs shortly after June 12th. So with minicamp approaching here, will Rodgers sign before, after, or never with the Pittsburgh Steelers when it comes to mandatory minicamp? Type B if you think it's before minicamp, A if you think it's after the end of minicamp, or type N if you think that Rodgers will never sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. In just a second here, I'm going to let you guys know about our sponsor today at Fanatics. And while I'm talking about Fanatics today, let me know what you guys think Aaron Rodgers is going to do down there in the comments section. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. And, Aaron Rodgers is still a question mark here in Steelers Nation, but the one player that's a new addition that you can bank on having a jersey for this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers is DK Metcalf. He signed that massive new extension, so this is a jersey that you guys can have for a very long time and still be able to wear. You can go to chatsports.com/DK. That is our special link. If you click that link in the comments and description of today's show and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us us here at Steelers Talk part of the proceeds. So if you are planning on getting a DK Metcalf number 4 Steelers jersey anyway, and you want to help out the channel in the process, you can go chatsports.com/DK and make a purchase. Okay, so now let's move on to some potential plan B options for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they strike out on Aaron Rodgers. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN says that Kirk Cousins is at least on the radar of the Pittsburgh Steelers as a plan B option this year. Fowler said, I had some conversations with people this week that led me to believe that Cousins is, at the very least, on the Steelers' radar if something were to fall through on Rodgers. Now, here's the thing, guys. When it comes to Kirk Cousins, the big question is not whether he's better than Mason Rudolph or is he better than some of the other options out there and on the trade market and free agency market. The big question is the money situation, because he still has quite a bit of guarantees left on his deal, and he still has 3 years left on his current contract. So the money situation can get a bit complicated. But Fowler said this when it comes to the money. Now here's how the Steelers and Falcons could make that happen. Cousins has $37.5 million in guarantees between this year and next year. Somebody's on the hook for that, whether it's Atlanta or someone else. Atlanta would need a team to offset some of that money, whether it's $4 million or $20 million, whatever it is. But the feeling around the league is that Atlanta has not been willing to budge on this. They haven't shown a lot of interest in trading Cousins. It would take a hefty price tag for another team to wiggle that out. So essentially how it'll work here, guys, is that the more money the Steelers would be willing to take on in terms of the guarantees on Kirk Cousins' contract and take that off of the books of the Atlanta Falcons, the lower the price tag is going to be. But if the Steelers are going to get Kirk Cousins for cheap, they're going to have to pay up a little bit more when it comes to the trade compensation and the draft pick that they give up to the Atlanta Falcons. And listen, guys, it's pretty apparent to me that Atlanta's just not going to trade him for nothing. It's not like they're going to take on his entire slate of guaranteed money and only trade him for like a 6th-round pick. The Steelers are either going to have to take on a pretty significant portion of the guarantees on his contract, or they're going to have to give up a pretty decent draft pick to get Kirk Cousins as their next starting quarterback. So the only thing that I'll tell Omar here, guys, is that he just can't overpay. All right? Don't overpay. Don't take on too much money. Don't trade like a 2nd or 3rd-round draft pick for Kirk Cousins, who is on the downswing of his career. For me, you have to get Kirk Cousins at the right price tag. And for me, I would be willing to take on a decent chunk of the guaranteed money if I can get him for the right price. And for me, that would be something like a conditional 6th-round draft pick that could turn into a 4th or a 5th-round draft pick if he plays 50% or more of the Steelers' offensive snaps this year. Very similar structure to the Justin Fields trade. I think it's something that could be worked out between the Steelers and Falcons if Pittsburgh's willing to take on some money here. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you accept this trade to make Kirk Cousins the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Give me an A for accept or D for decline. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And then another option on the trade market, if Kirk Cousins, say, is too expensive and Atlanta's not willing to come to the table, according to Bleacher Report's Mo Moton, is Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis, the former 2nd-round.
Steelers Part 2. Aaron Rodgers didn't directly say he's signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but if you're a Steelers fan, you're probably safe to start planning for the arrival of the future Hall of Fame quarterback in the 2025 season. Rodgers was asked about whether or not he would ever play for the Chicago Bears at a recent event, and his response to the question made it pretty clear what his intentions are in 2025. The Steelers landing Aaron Rodgers this offseason is really the only outcome that will make their offseason make much sense at all. Pittsburgh shockingly passed on quarterbacks in the 2025 NFL Draft, despite a lot of rumors that they were interested in players like Shadir Sanders and Jackson Dart as early as the 1st round. Although they selected Will Howard on day 3, the Steelers' decision to pass on a player like Sanders as far as he was dropping down the board was indicative that this team already had a plan in place. But why not take Sanders as some insurance? Aaron Rodgers was a total flop for the New York Jets as far as their team's success is concerned. Despite the Jets failing as a franchise the last couple of years, Rodgers actually played pretty well over the course of the 2024 season, which has inspired some renewed confidence that he can perhaps lead a roster as strong as Pittsburgh's to more playoff success than someone like Russell Wilson did last year. Rodgers is much closer to the top half of NFL quarterbacks right now than Wilson, and the Steelers made a massive upgrade at receiver this offseason, trading for DK Metcalf. Although Rodgers won't be reuniting with Davante Adams in Pittsburgh, it could be an ideal situation for him anyway. Calf. It seems like it's only a matter of time before Rodgers is wearing the black and gold. And you, fan, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.